Hello, welcome to Miniature Realms. My name's Stuart. You can't beat a beautiful looking table to play your war games on, and Laser Terrain Company have just launched a Kickstarter for some fantastic old world themed terrain, and I'm going to be painting some just like this in this video and also talking to the creator, Evan.
Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Counter-Attack Bases. They stock a wide range of counters, gaming aids and movement trays for multiple game systems and offer custom items to suit your club, your event or even your podcast or YouTube channel. Check out the link in the video description.
Starting very much with the conclusion, these are some early teasers of the finished river sections on the dwarf theme stuff here, and then also your lovely Dry Dead theme set as well. And hang around if you like to see how I painted them and Evan's thoughts behind them. So this video should be a real fun mix. We're talking to Evan, the creator and owner of Laser Terrain Company. Talks about his background and his really cool day job as well. And you also see me at the same time painting the two sets that he sent me, a dwarven base set and a desert undead themed based set as well, with pieces just like this, which doesn't make it into the final video shots or pictures because I've just found it on the shelf next to me. The river terrain that you'll see in this video today is from this Kickstarter, which is live now from Laser Terrain. It's not a new company. Evan has done lots of previous Kickstarters, created 7 before, and you can see that there's lots and lots of information here. I'm not going to go through it now. That's going to be more fun for you after this video. If you're interested in what you see and listening to Evan talk about it as well, go and check it out yourself. But primarily today we'll be focusing on these river sections, these river pieces. We have this sort of Dry Dead themed set, and there is a dwarven theme set as well. I think the prices are genuinely really good. They're a lot cheaper than I thought they would be when Evan told me the prices, but he does other sets and things as well. So do go and check them all out and check out his other stuff all over on his website. I was very excited to receive my big box of goodies, all well wrapped and well packed, and there was just absolutely loads in there. Obviously I'd spoken or messaged Evan via email. We had conducted our conversations like that to start with, and I knew this box was on the way, and I knew there was going to be a lot of river sections in there, but I didn't realise quite how much there would be and how cool they are. Lots of really fun details to go alongside the more simple elements. One of the things that really impressed me, especially on the desert themed stuff, it's got a very low profile, so that if you want to place your miniatures and move them over the top of them, then you have no issues with that at all. Sometimes you may want the river just to be there to be a set dressing, to be a table dressing, and have it classed as just normal terrain. Makes it look cool. So obviously if you place a big river down the centre of your gaming table and play it as a water feature, it really adds a lot of sort of extra tactical questions, how you play the game, how you cross the river. But you can still have them on your table and just have it as a really fun theming piece. But as you can see here, there's absolutely loads of stuff, be that the dwarven theme stuff and the Dry Dead theme stuff, shall we call it, and it's really cool and very simple in many ways, but elegantly simple, and I was very impressed with everything he's sent. So with everything primed, I was ready to go, and there's quite a lot of painting involved. I'm going to hold up the paints to camera that I'm using, and they'll also be available on my Patreon as well as a free post, so you don't have to pay in order to get those paints. Equally, you can just pause the video when I hold them up to camera and make a note of them. If you do want to copy the more tutorial parts of this video, a lot of it will be there alongside my conversation with Evan, so you can listen to the conversation and watch what I'm doing on the camera. It's fairly self-explanatory in most cases. I'm building up through layers, a little bit of a brown base to start with both methods, but then up through some greys for the stone for the dwarves, and then using some sandy colours on the desert stuff later on. But you can follow it on the screen. It's pretty self-explanatory. A lot of use of angles with my airbrush, a lot of Zenithal style things. But let's catch up with Evan, and I will talk to you again shortly.
I'm Evan, hi, and I am the creator of Laser Terrain, which is 3D printed terrain, and at the moment I'm very much focusing on fantasy terrain, and I've done a range of terrain via Kickstarters. I've done an undead, a dry dead, I believe to say, set of well, set of terrain, and some dwarves. I did a dwarven set of terrain too, and also some chaos terrain too. And my my next Kickstarter is a big range of rivers for to hopefully tie it all together with a bit of undead terrain and dwarven terrain and also some other bits in it too. Other than this, I work in the film industry doing digital modeling for TV series like House of the Dragon and The Hedge Knight, doing mostly the armor, like helmets and pieces like that. So whenever I have downtime from the film industry, I'm working on bits of terrain to put out there and see what people like. It's more I'm doing it more of a hobby, because it's I've always liked Warhammer from when I was about 10 years old, for about 1990, and I really got into making the terrain side of it out of like cardboard boxes. And this is one of my very first pieces when I was about 10.
That's awesome.
See the cereal box there. And yeah, moving into the film industry. Unfortunately, a lot of the bigotries the miniatures kind of disappeared over time, but I've got into the costume armory side of things. So yeah, hence why I'm doing the terrain now, to kind of really get it back into the terrain making, which I absolutely love. Yeah. So with the river set I'm making, it's 101 river pieces. So this is the medium kind of size of the
It's
river
fantastic.
pieces. Yeah. And it goes down to, this is the medium, so the small one's probably about half that,
Yeah.
and the large one's probably double that. And so I've got like a generic set of rivers, which
Mhm.
hopefully will fit in with most things. And I've also got this undead set, which is
And they are
yeah.
fantastic.
So
And
they would fit in with various armies out there. A bridge here for hopefully you should fit movement trays on there nicely.
yeah, I was just thinking that the width of the bridge is the same with the dwarf one that you've sent me as well.
Oh yeah,
You're going to get quite a lot of movement trays on there, and even if your unit is a little bit wider and you're not in march column or
it's
something, they're still wide
awful,
enough that you can balance your tray on. Whereas so many bridges, you might as well just remove them from the table. Whereas these, you're not going to need to move them out of the way. You'll be able to play on them really, really nicely.
Yeah, I was hoping also so give you access to actually pick up your movement tray from the your units from the bridge, instead of
Yeah.
having to collide with the bridge.
The side
Yeah,
profile of River Parts is quite shallow, so it blends into the table nicely. But again, also means that you can play over it. You're not. It's not a case of, oh, well, if I put my unit on that, it's just going to slide off or fall off. The banks of the rivers don't seem ridiculously artificial. You've got the height just about right that they look like banks, but
yeah,
also not so shallow that you don't know what you're looking at. If that makes sense, you managed that
yeah.
really
Here we
well.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
they're quite
profile
they're
is
quite.
just really good.
There we go. Yeah, so all these profiles here are the same, and so they all link up.
Yes.
Um, and but yeah, they really kind of like smooth off
Yeah,
to enough.
as soon as I unpacked mine, I thought, "Wow, this is you've nailed that." Like you don't see it very often. They're either the banks are too short, so you end up with these really sort of steep little, almost like trenches, or they're just non-existent and a flat piece of MDF. You see some people do, whereas you seem to have got the balance between both. I think works really nicely.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, they print quite well too. I was a bit worried about them being so shallow that when you 3D print stuff, that you haven't got enough layers there to get the
Right,
detail. But I'm printing at I think it's what 0.12 of a millimeter,
right.
and yeah, showing up the detail great. Um, and so it's yeah. I try to also not make them too clunky. sometimes you see a lot of
Hmm.
rivers and they're quite clunky. They're quite full of rocks and stuff, like really clunky rocks. So yeah, I tried to make them kind of like as realistic as possible, really.
Yes.
Yeah, and with a bit of a nod to the old rivers you see in the old White Dwarves, you know. So that
Yeah.
was what I was aiming for. You know, I was trying to go for a bit of like a nostalgic kind of look back to it, but give you so many options to make, you know, loads of different kind of rivers.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
also during the Kickstarter, if there's anything I've missed, if someone wanted like a specific part or something, you know, which is obvious, you know, we should have, I would have quite happily make it and add it to the Kickstarter too. So you know,
So basically, if people
if
got
I
some
can
good
develop a bit.
ideas, stick the hand up and say, because there's a good chance that if you're thinking, yeah, that really should be there, and you've got the
Exactly.
time to do it, something you'll be able to add, which is fantastic to have fun. So let's talk about the Kickstarter a little bit
Sure,
more
yeah.
then. So, what's your plans for it? So, what do people get? How are you planning on sort of setting it all up?
Right. So what I'm wanting to do is do digital and physical um, rewards,
Hmm.
and with the digital reward, you'll get everything basically. All the 101. Well, there should be 101. I need to double check that. River pieces, and that'll be sent to backers via my mini factory at the end of
Hmm.
the project. But I really like making the actual terrain, the physical terrain for people. Um, and I've got a small print farm in my garage, and with that, I can produce a number of terrain sets to get them out a
Fantastic.
few months after the Kickstarter. So people will have the option to pick up, let's say, all the dwarven terrain or the undead terrain, or I've got a set of like trenches.
Yes, they look fantastic.
Yeah, so it's a trench which has basically been flooded
Yeah.
to kind of make it a river, right?
Yeah.
So
But if you
so
want it to
yeah,
be a
it's a
trench
flooded
as well
trench.
for lots of games, then that would work as well. So Trench Crusade at the moment, you'll find Trench Crusade players looking at that and thinking, "Oh, I wonder if I can
Yeah, and
use that
it
as well."
you know it means you don't have to dig into tabletop. You know
Mm,
your dining room table will make it. You know, so give you a bit of an excuse to have a trench on your table. You know, and here's one of the pillboxes, which is kind of filled up.
yeah, that is very very
Yeah.
cool. So obviously you got Trench Crusade. There's a game called Conflict 47 that Warlord Games have put out very
Oh,
recently. That is a diesel punk alternative World War II. So it's that kind of 40k esque
yeah.
crossover between your almost grim World War stuff. I think that you've got a few markets for that as well. So very
Hopefully,
interesting there.
it'd be good to see what people do with it.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, it'd be great to see people's tables and things. I've had a few people do some stuff with the undead stuff, the undead
yeah,
terrain, and it looks really good. Um, and yeah, it'd be really good to see what else people want from it. This isn't the end for all the rivers, you know. As future projects come out, each of the future projects will also have river parts, which will link in
right.
with the set. So this is basically the base set with a few optional extras for the undead and dwarves and the battlefield trenches.
Yeah,
And so yeah, my next the Kickstarter after the after this one will have yeah like themed bridges for that one, so it can all fit together. And yeah, so hopefully this river set will connect all my Kickstarters going forward. And
fantastic.
yeah, that's the plan.
And then in terms of expanding into buildings and things to kind of grow these environments out and other factions as well, what are your plans regarding that?
Well, yeah, at the moment I've got a bit of downtime, so I'm currently doing my another Kickstarter after this one. Well, just the design phase at the moment, which is a Asian themed um, set of terrain, and so this is the one of the towers here.
Fantastic.
Here we are. and
Wow.
it's all modular, and it's you can also kind of take it apart, so you
Wow.
can store it,
Yeah, that's incredible.
and this will link up with basically walls, so you can have a Great Wall of China or
Amazing.
something. This is all.
A certain
Yeah.
bastion in a recent arcane journal might well be calling out for some of that stuff for people who are wanting to play large siege
Maybe,
games and things.
so you can kind
Absolutely
of,
incredible.
so you can make different
That
buildings
roof
here.
is stunning. Really, really, you just,
Ah,
yeah,
thanks.
that nailed the
Yeah,
aesthetic there. Look, really good.
and yeah. So this project is quite a big project, and
Mhm.
I'll keep on working on it for the next few months, and then hopefully get it painted up, and then that'll be hopefully down the end of this year. So that's what I'm, working on whilst this is getting whilst the river set is getting all ready. Yeah, here's some other modular parts. This is a
Oh, wow.
crumble down
Bit of
piece.
collapse wall.
That's wall and uh,
They're just really stunning piece. Everything's like a centerpiece kind
yeah,
of thing
yeah,
going on there.
yeah. Thanks. Yeah,
Which is,
this is very much my itch for miniatures coming in. Wanting to make some
yes.
big kind of Lord of the Rings kind of
Yeah,
pieces.
inspired by that. Like many people who watch the videos like this, may have watched the extras for the Lord of the Rings extended films a few times and drawled over the bigatures and the miniatures
Ah,
in those, and
yeah.
feels like you might be inspired by some of that kind of
That
stuff as
that
well.
is actually what got me into the film industry.
Hmm.
Um, so whilst I was traveling over New Zealand, probably around when Two Towers came out,
Yep.
just so happens that my cousin's boyfriend at the time was working at Weta, and he showed me around the bigatures of the Master and Commander boats.
Oh
And
wow.
from there, I was like, wow, this is for me. So coming back from that, I went and did a model making course down in Bournemouth, and and then from there did some work experience on Hot Fuzz,
Yes.
making the
Amazing.
making the model village at the end, the one where he crashes into. And I picked up some really good contacts from that. I went on to doing a bit of Harry Potter's castle, and
Wow.
then going on to strangely the costume armory, doing Dune and Thor 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy, and recently yeah, House of Dragon and Hedge Knight. That's it. Doing all the helmets and other pieces.
Incredible.
Yeah, yeah, it's been good.
And fantastic projects to be involved in and to be able to then use some of those skills and things you've learned to put into your own sort of side quest of your business and into the passion of Warhammer, essentially, mostly.
Yeah.
But it's brilliant, really, really brilliant. Have you got plans in the future to add even smaller buildings and things to your sets? I know there's a lot of people doing stuff, and what I think you're doing is different to what the mass market is. But just to match up that stuff, do you have plans to add sort of more normal sized buildings for people who want to create whole towns and things? Or
Yeah. So I am wanting to try and do as many of the kind of fantasy factions out there. Um, and well, with these future projects, I am wanting to do. So a lot of it depends on what kind of. I realize when people 3D print stuff, they have different size print beds.
yes,
Yeah. And I realize a lot of people actually have, put about 200 mil print beds.
yeah,
So I try and fit in enough pieces to accommodate people's print beds. So
right,
with this river set, this will fit on a 180 by 180 print bed.
right, okay,
So most of these will fit on, yeah, small print beds. That's and so with like the Asian project, I will have quite small buildings up to ranging up to kind of quite large modular pieces, which you can put together. Yeah.
nice, very good.
So yeah,
Anything that makes it easier for people. I mean, I only have a resin printer myself, so the fact that you're
offering the print option as well on your Kickstarter is something that you don't often see. With the amount of beautiful terrain Kickstarters I see, and I think I could buy that, and yes, I could pay to get it printed somewhere, but sometimes you just want the option to buy from
Yeah.
direct and get it sent to you, and it's good that you'll have that option in there as well.
Only on the screen for a couple of seconds there, but I've got two different sort of standy bone recipes going on there. The reason for that is that I want the buildings and the statues, monuments, etc. to be a slightly different sort of tone, a little bit more bonish, a little bit cooler, and the sand to look a little bit warmer. They both start from the same brown base. Again, pause the video if you wanted to make a note of those paints, or check them out on the free article that's over on the Patreon as well. So working on it very much the same way as you've just seen me working on all of the dwarf rivers, slowly building up lots of layers with the airbrush, allowing the shadows to do a little bit of work there as well. And the first colours here, I'm focusing on the statues and the buildings first. The reason I'm doing those first is because there will be some overspray from the airbrush, and that is going to overspray down onto the other sandy areas. And then when I airbrush the sandy areas afterwards, any touch of overspray will only go on the bottom edge of the buildings, and it will just look like sand and dust that is weathering the edges of those buildings. So there's some method in my madness there as well. But there's not a huge difference in the tones and colours anyway, so a slight colour change or a little bit of overspray here or there won't really be noticed in the grand scheme of things. As I move on to the sand areas, I'm moving on to that slightly warmer, funnily enough, is called Desert Yellow, and again building up nice smooth layers through the airbrush, allowing some of that brown and some of the black still to show through, leaving it in onto those recesses, and just helps it to sort of increase the overall look of the effect of the light shining on the top of those dunes. And as I move on to the lighter colour, you'll see there I'm just highlighting the very edges of those dunes, really making it look like the sun is reflecting off a really hot sort of shiny dune. Obviously sand becomes glass, it's super reflective in really bright sunshine, and it just gives a little element of that going on at the same time. At this stage, that can all look a little bit too white and washed out, so add some vibrancy back into it. It's really nice to go back and add some shadow with the airbrush, and you'll watch me doing that on the dwarven sets with some wildwood. And here I'm using Agarash Dunes, another appropriately named paint, this time from the Citadel range. And I'm just focusing in on all of the shadows and the recesses, and adding little patches on the lower areas of the sandy dunes, which really helps bring it all together. Then in a similar vein here, I'm using Bony Matter, and it's a slightly less yellow bone colour, definitely more brown to it and more subtle than Skeleton Horde from the Citadel range. I'm using this to add shadows into all of the stone areas, again separating those two sort of bony yellowy paint schemes that I got going there, so there is a subtle difference between different areas of these terrain pieces. The water in the river areas started very much the same thing, so returning to wildwood contrast paint through the airbrush to give it a sort of a nice brown all the way down as a bit of a base, and then adding some algae green through the airbrush as well. I am thinning these with a little touch of airbrush thinner just to help them go through the airbrush, and then after that I'm using some Caribbean blue as well, just to add a slightly different tone than I did for the dwarves. I wanted them to look like a almost canal-like water, slightly darker. It's coming from the mountain, they're floating barrels and things down, whereas this is a slightly hotter climb, so sometimes you get reflections that create the bluish tone. I didn't want to go too bright a blue. I felt that was a little bit too cartoonesque, and I wanted to be a little bit more realistic, but obviously water around the world looks different in different places, so anything goes really. Did a tiny bit of dry brushing just on the little boat there and the sunken boat, but also on the buildings, just catching the edges. It's kind of a greyish white just to make it sort of pop and stand out a little bit. And then off camera I did use a little bit of sepia oil washing just in small patches. The rivers were handled the same way, a little gloss varnish first to seal the river beds, and if you wanted to just use gloss varnish at this stage you really could. It'll look shiny, it'll look absolutely great. Evan pointed out before I started not to use any UV resin. He'd seen me using it on previous videos, and you may well have as well. UV resin heats up when it cures and is likely to warp the very thin resin pieces here. Well, in fact this is filament type material from the 3D printer, so it's definitely going to warp it and mess it all up. So I'm using AK still water, and the Woodland Scenics one is pretty good as well. I think Vallejo do one. It's basically an extra thick gloss varnish essentially. It's quite gloopy, but it self levels mostly. I've got a few little spots of bubbles and things in mine. It's not quite as smooth as the resin would be, but it's still pretty cool. You just don't want to go any more deep than about 3 mils or so. I didn't photograph all the pieces individually like this, but I wanted to show off a few of the key pieces away from the tabletop shots so you could see them a little bit clearer and really show them off, because I think Evan's done a fantastic job here with the sculpting. I love all the little details, the key elements like the barrels going down the river. It's a really fun narrative story you could build into one of your tables there, and I just really love the desert set. I love painting in those kind of colours. They look really striking when you light them nicely like this for photographs, and they really contrast with that slightly deeper blue. I think they've come out really well. So let's take a gyrocopter's view as we head up the river for the dwarves, and it's really fun. You can bisect your table lengthways and set up a really nice narrative battle. There's a good crossing there. You can always change the rules so that you can make crossings anyway. I know that it won't suit maybe match play quite as well, but if you're a narrative player at heart like I am, then it's fantastic. But also you don't have to use the whole set as well. You can section off just a quarter of the table or a third of the table or something like that. But it's just really stunning terrain that suits the theme of dwarves really from any system, any game system, and it looks extra great with lots of dwarves hanging around it, which reminds me I do need to get my dwarves back out for a game really soon. It's been too long. And I guess a carrion bird's view, unless it's a spying gyrocopter now. This is a much more windy set. I've got it coming out from the same side of the table. There was 2 short rivers. You could easily put it as one long windy river. This is just easier to show you all of the different sections that you get in the set. Again, it really depends on how you want to play the game, how you use them, whether they're just easily passable rivers or whether you make a real sort of scenario about them being impassable, and if you do that, how much of the table do you want to cut off. But either way, I think they look pretty cool on the table, really break up a desert themed table having that there, and some of the centerpieces are just fantastic. My Tomb King collection is a lot less painted than my dwarf one, so that's all I have to show you there, but they still look pretty cool, setting the scene and giving you a little bit of an idea how your Dry Dead may look on a table with a river like this. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I had loads of fun chatting to Evan and loads of fun working on all of those really cool pieces of terrain. I've got a really nice setup there for the dwarves and the Tomb Kings, and his stuff is really nice. So thank you to Evan from Laser Terrain for sending it over. It's absolutely fantastic, and I will have to go and purchase a standard set from him now as well for non-desert or non-dwarf themed rivers. And I just really love, as I've said in the video, I really love how low profile they are. So you can kind of use it as set dressing if you want, because your movement trace will fit over it. You can just say that it's completely passable water rather than a deep river, depending on how narrative and thematic you want to be and how much you want it to impact your game of Warhammer. But I love them. They're really cool. They're really great value. I was really surprised when he told me the price. Genuinely, I thought, wow, that's cheaper than I expected him to sell them for. So do go and check that Kickstarter out. There will be a link in the video description, and I'll also pop a link as a pinned comment as well. If I don't remember, someone put in the comments, Stu, you forgot to post the link. And remember, if you have enjoyed the video, please do drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of the painting, of the stuff, just anything to do with the content or the video or wider Warhammer the Old World. Check out other videos on the channel. If you are new to the channel, loads of Old World content, but loads of other game systems as well. Real mixture of chat and hobby tutorial stuff. So go and check the stuff out. Subscribe to the channel as well. If you're a current fan of the channel and you watch a lot and you want to support me even further, please check out my Patreon. There's a link in that video description as well. Prices start from £1 for the lowest level. Really helps support me and help me make more content like this. And also check out the channel sponsor, Counter Attack Bases. Make loads of gaming aids for lots of different game systems, including Warhammer the Old World, and they make lots of custom dice as well. So thank you very much for watching. Take care, and I'll catch you soon.